Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another reaction. Today we have Nostalgic Tomorrow by Vampillia. This one was requested by Thracian and my executive producers, and I know nothing else. No other context was given. I don't know if this is from anything or if it's a standalone release. Given the view count, I'm going to assume that it's probably just a standalone release from an artist I haven't heard of. So, hey, that's always really fun. I always love hearing what new people bring to the table here. So let's listen to this and see what it has in store. Without further ado, let's go! Ooh. Very interesting art here, too. Oh man, I literally got something in my eye. Oh, okay. All right. Beautiful start. It's always starts like this that make me really wonder where the hell it's gonna go. There are so many directions it could go. Oh, we see we took a turn. Okay. Messing with sound design, setting a scene. I just can't tell exactly what it's supposed to be yet. Building a tense atmosphere. But where to? Ooh, a very, like, neutral release on that. Ooh. It wasn't a big build or anything. It just kind of went back to where it was. One of my favorite chords right there. Oh. I did not expect lyrics. Let's see if there's a translation for them. Probably not. No, I'll have to look them up. They're a little too soft in the mix for me to make out many of the words. Made that one out. Okay. It sucks that, like, I'm only catching every couple of words. I don't know Japanese that well. Especially when it's mixed in with a song. Hard to hear every syllable, and I really need to take the moment to dissect and digest what's being said. Ooh. Oh, a little sour on that one. That's where the bitter and bittersweet comes from. Because the rest of this sounds so pretty. There's a lot of, like, especially that, like, vocal sample in there. really counteracting the main melody. See, he's doing that again. Also, is that the Yamaha vocal library, like the voice synth on like a keyboard? That's what it sounds like. I love how empty this is. Like, it's not filling a lot of the space, it's leaving you with a lot of room. Obviously there's stuff going on here, but it's not doing enough to feel like you're progressing. It feels a little stagnant. And I think that might be the point. An evolution. It's like right as I mentioned it. Shifting the tone and the atmosphere a little bit with this. It's going full tremolo. But why? There's a lot of counter rhythms and shit going on. Okay. I'm definitely not gonna figure out these lyrics. For rock distortion, this laid in with scream vocals. A rhythmic breakdown. Just a bunch of noise underneath now. And ending it like that. And to get angry, like, that's what's strange. It's like it felt angry due to the screaming, but like the rest of everything else around it didn't really feel like it was getting too angry. What an interesting song. This is very experimental. This is really fucking cool. All right, so I had to go look up the lyrics and I couldn't actually find any. There might be some somewhere in Japanese, but all the English outlets I tried to find it on didn't have any lyrics to it. So I'm never gonna really know what they said unless somebody happens to know, and drop them down in the comments if you do know, because I want to know what they're saying in a lot of this. It just is kind of hard to tell with how it's mixed. The vocals are very soft in the back compared to the rest of the instrumental, and it kind of blends in, so it's hard for me, the white boy I am, to be able to figure out exactly what's being said when I am not a trained speaker in Japanese by any means. I just know a little bit, and it's mostly just by sheer exposure to, media in general. So I wouldn't really call myself a speaker of Japanese, more of somebody who can comprehend and catch every other word or so. If you speak slow enough, I could probably tie it together, but that's about all I've got. So when it comes to this song, in a more general sense, a very interesting sort of sound. When I looked up the lyrics for this, I found out that the band themselves are a metal band that does a lot of experimental and avant-garde sort of stuff, and that makes a lot of sense now with the ending there. But it's, again, I can't quite tell what the emotion was supposed to be at the end there. It sounded angry. Again, I'm not entirely sure, but it's also very interesting to me that this band, which is largely known for metal in a blanket, is a little bit more experimental than I would have expected. You wouldn't have done a song like this if you weren't a little bit weird, you know? And I love that. A lot of the times when you decide you're going to be in a band, you're going to decide on like a genre or two and kind of stay around that and not really experiment into these other styles and try to do something a little bit more different. And I think that's where the experimental side is a lot more fun, because you are able to do that when you just don't care enough and you're like, hey, I want to make music. I don't have to stick to just that genre. It's one of my favorite parts about an independent artist, just someone or some people who are interested in doing art, not necessarily exactly what the record label wants them to do, but if they do have a label, which I believe that these guys do, they clearly just let them do their thing and they trust that, and I respect that a lot on both the label side and the band side, because this was beautiful. I never would have expected this out of a metal group, you know, just like if you weren't to have told me that, I would have just assumed it was some random composer doing a little bit of an experimental thing, not necessarily a band doing it, especially with the instrument choices here and how minimal it was. And again, with stuff like that, what I'm pretty sure is the Yamaha vocal library, like built into a Yamaha keyboard. We had a Clavinova at a church when I was growing up that had this exact library, I swear, and also a portable keyboard that was a Yamaha when I was a kid that had this exact same library. And I think it's just a thing they add to all of their electronic keyboards. So I'm very certain that that's probably what that is. But either way, it's just fun to hear that, because they have a band, you know, like they've got vocalists, they have multiple vocalists, they have guitarists, drummers, clearly, but it's just, instead of using them to do this, they decided to use something as strange, honestly, as that Yamaha library. Why? You know, like this is the experimental thing that just makes it sound a little bit more otherworldly and doesn't really connect to anything else, and it feels just like it did in the song where like notes weren't exactly lining up. You don't need it to, because it's supposed to feel a little bit different, maybe. Maybe that's why they went with that specific approach of using a like preset keyboard thing. It's just a little bit different and it doesn't sound quite right, which is also probably exactly the point. I do like that they decided to tack in a little bit more of the metal stuff near the end, so like they wouldn't lose their viewer base, basically, right? Like they're not going to lose their fan base because it's like, oh hey, look, it's still metal. But also, if you're going to follow and like a band like this, you've definitely got to be the type of person who's willing to accept these different sort of experiments and allow them to do their thing, because again, you're following the artist, not just the genre they decided to set their stones in. So this is really fucking cool and a beautiful piano piece. Whoever composed that, whoever made like the core of this melody and everything, brilliant work. Like maybe they're classically trained and they just also like metal and that's why they're a part of this band. This is written by somebody who has composed some beautiful shit before. Maybe they work in TV, film, whatever it may be. Like something about this just feels way too highbrow compared to metal in a more traditional sense. So I feel like at very least, whoever wrote this part of this song has some background in a more traditional style and more classical style of piano, because there's just so much to it. There's so much beauty in this composition. And they decided to go, you know what we're going to do? We're going to put this on our fucking album, boys. I love that. That's again why I love experimental groups like this. They aren't afraid to try something new. They're not afraid to look weird, you know, to make something that their general fan base might not perfectly enjoy, maybe even just getting really weird with it. Because who knows? I don't know what their overall fan base is like. Maybe they hear this song and they're like, ew, this is awful. This upload on YouTube, at least the song Standalone, only has like 6,000 views. So maybe it's not their most popular track, and maybe that's part of that reason listening. But again, this is why artists are artists, because artists aren't afraid to try shit, and sometimes maybe it's a commercial failure, but also it's an artistic venture, not just, hey, what does the label want again, like I said earlier. This is what I love to hear. Even if it's not their most popular work, it doesn't have to be. It can be something super interesting, composed beautifully, handled interestingly, and albeit I did have a little bit of issue with the mix of the vocals in there, I also understand why they wouldn't want them to be too present in the front, because what's supposed to be the focus of this piece is the piano. That itself is kind of more the voice of this whole thing. So I get it with the vocals being kind of set back in a more equal footing with the piano. It just also made it hard for me, somebody who's not even speaking the language, to be fair, a little harder to hear, but like I said, I don't speak the language, but to somebody who's fluent in the language, it probably didn't matter at all, and they probably could understand every word. It's not like I couldn't tell what syllables were being said. It was just at certain points, the piano was stepping over it, and I couldn't quite make it out. But again, that's me, so it's probably just a me issue. But I'll digress here because I've been yapping quite a bit about this one. Thank you all so very much for watching. Brilliant song choice, Thracian. Gorgeous song choice. The choice of title, Nostalgic Tomorrow, makes me think of some ideas too with how soft it was, and this, especially at the beginning, feeling that it was a little bit soft, like it's trying to bring back some nostalgia in there. A lot of the chord choices were famous for that, but at the same time, I'm not sure what the lyrics might have been talking about either. Maybe it was supposed to be something a little bit more sad, maybe it was supposed to be a little bit more angry. I don't know, but great song nonetheless, and if any of you have something you want me to get to, by all means, drop in the comments below, and I will do my best as always to get to those. Or if, like Thracian did, you want to guarantee that I listen to something, you can always go to my Patreon or my YouTube memberships to guarantee something. There's a tier that will force me to listen to whatever you want. Doesn't matter who it's by, what it's from, if it's good or bad, doesn't matter. That's why it's a guarantee. But if you don't want to do any of that, maybe just want to follow me and support me for more stuff coming in the future, you know how to do all that, and I will see all of you in the next video. Goodbye!